What do you make of it, Ambassador?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I'm happy to step in for my friend Ron Dermer. He is a class act and I'm sure needed right now. So happy to do so. Look, one of the reasons why I think we in the America First foreign policy world want to think about these issues only in accordance to what is good for America and putting America first is because we need to be able to prioritize when America would get involved. I've been a big proponent of not giving just unlimited amounts of money to Ukraine because I didn't see how it immediately impacted the United States. Certainly, we are the leader of the free world and we should be pushing peace agreements. But in moments like this with Israel, this is the whole reason why we should be saying no to Ukraine. We don't want to deplete all of our munitions and hardware in Ukraine when they're needed in Israel. And so I think we have to stand with our ally Israel right now. And by the way, I actually believe that there's a lot of Arab countries that also are secretly standing with Israel. They don't want a big, huge Middle East war. And so hopefully Anthony Blinken is working behind the scenes. Now is the time to have really an incredibly tough diplomatic effort, a diplomacy surge. When you go and you talk to the Turks and you talk to the Lebanese and you talk to the Egyptians and the Syrians, including the Russians can play a very important role right now by making sure that Syria does not get involved and that their border with Israel is not penetrated to open up another front. The Russians have a lot of influence in Syria right now, and we should be talking to them. I think America has a lot of influence on Lebanon and Egypt, and that's where moving some of our hardware in immediately is a diplomatic action. I don't like to, try to push the military option, but I do think for diplomats who are negotiating to have a credible threat of military action behind the diplomats only helps the diplomats at the table.
Mm. So where do you see this going? Because this is what I was trying to ask Ted Cruz. It could get very, very bad. It could go well beyond Israel and Hamas. It could involve Hezbollah. It could involve Iran. It could involve even potentially us. What do you see as the most likely outcome?
Well, look, it's hard to talk about these issues and do hypotheticals because you certainly don't want to give weight to any one thing and make it come into fruition because you're talking about it. So I think most people are going to be very hesitant. But I think what you just touched on is exactly the fear, is that it really could get into all of these different areas. I think Turkey right now is a key ally. Remember, they're a member of NATO. They've been a member of NATO since 1951. We have a lot of people I would put into the camp of Democrats who are very skeptical of Turkey and they want to push them away. Certainly, the Biden administration has not been a good friend to Erdogan. The Biden administration hasn't been a good friend to the Saudis, and we need the Saudis right now. I go back to my point is I'm not sure that Arab governments are all unequivocally on the part of the Palestinians. I believe that the Iranians, for instance, they don't care about the Palestinians. They're using them. Now, look what's happening. You have the Iranians pushing Hamas to start this war. And now look at what's going to happen to Gaza. Look what's going to happen to the people inside that area. Do you think that Iran is going to take those refugees? They're going to take care of those refugees? No, they're using them as pawns. And the more that we can make clear to the Arab people in this region that they are being used by Iran, the better. And I do think that we'll get help from the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Lebanese, even the Syrians and the Turks on this message.
I mean, there are some who are saying, first thing, I think this was Josh Hammer, who's a syndicated columnist, was saying, first thing is we need to evacuate as many civilians from Gaza as possible and ideally move them to Egypt if Egypt would help. And then we need to raise Gaza, we meaning Israel, and us with our assistance. We need to raise Gaza and make it look like a parking lot. There cannot be any getting along with the folks in Gaza. Hamas has proven that. If you want to get rid of Hamas, you've got to raise Gaza, and with the caveat that I just said, trying to get Egypt to take as many of the civilians as it will. What do you think of that?
Look, I've worked at the State Department for 12 years, Megyn, you know that, and I'm a diplomat, and I try to talk about peaceful solutions. I think in this particular instance, it's very difficult to think about what the peace is. I'm all for Israel being able to defend itself and take the time to root out the problem. I don't know if what that means, but I certainly know I want to give Israel enough time. Here is one of the problems with Josh's assumptions. I don't think Egypt is going to take these individuals. If they were going to take them, they would have taken them a long time ago. They've got a wall up, keeping the Palestinian people out and not able to go into Egypt. But I do think, out of the 21 members of the Arab League, that we should be able to sit down again with a diplomatic surge. And I don't have faith with Anthony Blinken being able to do this. He certainly hasn't been able to come up with a peace plan for Ukraine, even though the Chinese have one. But I do think right now the State Department has a lot of Foreign Service officers who are really good. Let me highlight one, a woman who is right now being held up as U.S. ambassador to Egypt. She's a career Foreign Service officer, and she would be amazing. But guess who's holding her up? Bob Menendez, who's supposed to be the Egyptian government expert, but he doesn't want the Foreign Service officer going in. And I believe that the reason he doesn't want her going in is because when she was in Bulgaria, her top issue was getting rid of corruption. She rooted out corruption and was a corruption czar in Bulgaria. And that was her top priority. And she wants to do the same thing in Egypt. And guess what? Bob Menendez doesn't want her there. He's holding her up. So we need to have these Foreign Service officers who are good. And not every one of them are good. But she's very good and she needs the support. And we need to have an ambassador in Egypt.
I realize that you're not former defense secretary, but the situation of trying to get back the hostages, 9 of whom are ours. We got at least 9 Americans now sitting there wondering whether we're coming to get them. We paid what, as Ted Cruz said, $1.2 billion per prisoner to Iran to get our people back. Now we got at least 9 Americans who are prisoner to Hamas. We can't just sit back and say, well, I guess it's Israel's problem, right? I mean, what should we be doing, and what do you anticipate Israel doing? Because, there are minefields. There are booby traps. It is not easy to go in and steal back any hostage that Hamas has taken, never mind hundreds of them, the women, the children, the Americans, everyone that Hamas, I mean, you've got to give them credit for smartly making it a lot harder for Israel. I mean, this is just because Israel cares. They care about life.
Yeah. Look, our America's top priority has to be getting these individuals back, whether it's a hostage or someone who has been killed. We've got to bring the Americans home. So what I would advocate is the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense need to sit in the Oval Office, and they need to both present their plans, how to do this. Again, a diplomatic surge. You've got to get the Egyptians to start helping. You've got to get the Saudis to start helping. You've got to get Lebanese and Turkey, go to Erdogan. And if you can't get our people freed as Americans by making it very clear, we're trying this diplomatically. If you're not going to release the Americans, then the Pentagon is going to come in and they will not negotiate. And the Pentagon needs to have a plan. We have the most amazing American men and women who know how to go in and rescue Americans. They do it the world over. When I was U.S. ambassador to Germany, we were called upon by the Germans to rescue some of their hostages, and we do it. This is what America does. And so I believe that the Americans on the Pentagon side need to be prepared if diplomacy fails. That we need to have a small window for diplomacy. I'm not naive about this. Probably not going to work, but we need to have a surge I don't understand why Anthony Blinken is not in the region right now. Get on a plane. He has his own plane, and immediately start talking to these capitals and try to come up with something that would help. And if he finds in 48 hours that we cannot come up with a diplomatic, peaceful plan, he needs to be warning all of these governments. The United States is coming in to get its people, and the Pentagon is coming in right behind the diplomats who are trying to negotiate, and the Pentagon doesn't negotiate. This is the difference between a threat of military action and a credible threat of military action. Donald Trump always had a credible threat. Matter of fact, Chancellor Merkel once told me, the problem with your president, Mr. Ambassador, is that I never can figure out what he's going to do next. And I remember thinking to myself, don't smile, don't laugh in her face, but this is exactly what we need for American diplomacy, is a president who is not predictable.
This show is supported by Grand Canyon University. Founded in 1949, GCU is a private Christian university that's dedicated to delivering an affordable and transformative higher education. Their vibrant campus is located in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, and according to niche.com, ranked a top 25 best campus in the country. As of June 2023, GCU offers 330 academic programs with over 270 of them online, allowing you the freedom to earn your degree on your time from wherever you are. Their programs are also designed to challenge and inspire you. At GCU, your degree, whether it's a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, integrates the free market system and a welcoming Christian worldview. And they believe that higher education should be accessible to all. Learn more about GCU's programs, competitive tuition rates, and scholarship offers from your university counselor. They're part of the supportive graduation team who take a personalized approach to helping you achieve your academic goals, walking alongside you every step of the way. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. For more information or to enroll, visit gcu.edu. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.